Hey everyone, before this episode of Still Loading begins, I just wanted to provide a little disclaimer. This episode was recorded prior to all the social distancing measures and the lockdown measures that have now since gone into place. So this was recorded at a very odd period of time because it was right at the start of the coronavirus really becoming a very serious thing. I mean, it was always serious, but the knowledge that was out there at the time was nowhere near as much as we have now. So it's a very interesting kind of not slice of life, but a very, very weird time capsule to hear. There's not a lot of talk on the virus on this episode, but there is a little bit because we were talking about, garage sailing and yard sailing and how it would affect the 2020 season for that. So there was a little bit of talk on it, but it is very strange to kind of hear the perspectives of even just almost a month ago. It's very, very odd to hear something like that when that was so far. It feels so long ago when this was recorded, and it was really only about a month ago. Just wanted to give that little disclaimer. Sincerely, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Another quick note that's not a disclaimer. This episode actually has a video component over on the Firespin Gaming YouTube channel. The host of that channel, Josh, is once again a guest on this episode, so you can check out the video component for that on his channel, Firespin Gaming on YouTube. That should do it. I hope you enjoy the episode, and sincerely, I hope you're all safe out there, and remember, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and we'll get through this. On this episode of Still Loading, game hunting with Firespin Gaming. Hey everyone, this is Josh, and welcome to this new episode of Still Loading. This week's episode, I have Josh back again from Firespin Gaming. Josh, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too shabby. And also Eric. Eric, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
So Josh and I just finished recording actually the Horizon Zero Dawn episode, which you would probably have heard last week. This week, what we are going to be talking about is game hunting. Now, this is not something I have as much experience with. I did do a small mini episode on it just a little while ago. Oh, not a little while. It's probably been at least a year and a half now or so. It's been a while. It's my go-to. It's my go-to. So I don't have as much experience with this as you guys do. You specifically, Josh, have a YouTube channel for it, and Eric, you have been on that YouTube channel a number of times, and you do a lot of game hunting in your own right?
Correct.
So, I guess to start off, what are some tips and tricks for newbies? What do you got? What do you have to talk about? What do we got going here?
Don't do it at all, because you're not going to be able to with all of us out there.
There's a lot of people out there hunting games. Like when I went hunting with you the one time, there was so many all right, see this guy over here? Yeah, he's also a hunter. We got to get in there before he does. Like you can just spot it. It's
and
crazy.
It worked, didn't it?
Oh, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I would say, and Josh has mentioned this before, don't be afraid to go outside your bubble. You're not always going to find what's within your immediate area. Sometimes you got to drive an hour out, 45 minutes out. If you really want to find stuff and you really want to get stuff, you're going to have to work for it. It's just like a job.
For instance, my wife, who's in the other room, me and her went out on a community yard sale. Drove 2 hours to go to it. And me and you have had this experience also. Woke up, ass crack of dawn, 3 o'clock in the morning to get to this place by 5, so we could sit down, eat breakfast, and then go.
Yeah.
So we go out, not a single video game to be found out of the 120 houses that were at this community sale. So that kills you, because you just wasted all your time to go there. So on the way back, we do what's called freestyle. It's like what the American pickers do.
Okay.
So we just drive around until we see a sign, and then we'll stop. Which I will be honest with you, 90% of the stuff that I have is from doing just that.
Like something that isn't posted online or that you can find online.
It's just a random sale that wasn't on Craigslist, wasn't on Facebook. So me and her, we take this back road, one way, one direction back road. We come across another community sale that wasn't even posted anywhere, just another townwide. And that's that sale where I found Toomba, the Haunting Grounds case that was sitting there, and I, like an idiot, I left it. Ended up going back to the lady's house 3 weeks later to see if she still had it, and her son was really pissed off because I bought all of his video games. So it happens.
You see that a lot, it seems like. From a lot of stuff that I see in your videos, it's a lot of families being like, oh, I'll sell it. And then like a week later, you hear that the kids are like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
I wanted this. I wanted to keep it.
But they end up coming to the conventions that we sell at, and they end up buying the stuff back.
I don't know if you want to say that.
No, it's part of the business.
It
It's
is.
what
I
we
mean,
do.
they agreed to sell it.
You know, me and Eric both, what we do is we go yard selling. We pick up the video games. I do a live video of me doing it. Put it on YouTube just to show other hunters out there that there's still stuff out there to find. And what I do is I take the stuff to conventions. A lot of people will resell on eBay. I don't do that because there's fees. And, you know, you got to, which we'll talk about and discuss in a little bit, because I recently started selling on eBay. And within, I want to say a week, I made about $1,600.
Really?
Just selling stupid random shit that was laying around on my floor. And of course, the last item that I was selling, there was an issue with, which we'll explain later. It's really good. You guys will enjoy this.
Okay.
But do you have anything you want to put in?
I mean, basically, I guess, just a generic statement. When I go yard selling, you know, I'm more of a collector than a quote unquote reseller. So I do it more for the thrill of the hunt, to add to my collection. Yep. But my end goal is to either break even or come out with a profit in what I buy from garage sales. So let's just say there's 2 games. For the most part, I'll probably know the prices already. I'll offer a price that I can sell one of the games for to make my money back or make a profit. So that's what I usually try to do. And I mean, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but...
Well, and I will say, compared to what I've seen of other resellers and whatnot, like, it's nice that you guys are actually doing it for the collection. And like, obviously you want to make money. That's there's nothing wrong with that, but you're also not out there to dick over the person. Like I even remember, like, when I went hunting with you, yeah, you don't necessarily bring up the value of it, but if the person asks you, you honestly tell them, like, yeah, this is worth this and this, because you don't want to, like, you're giving an honest answer to
Honesty will get you far in this, like, I don't call it a side business. Well, yeah, it's a side business. It's more
a
a
side
side
hustle.
hustle. It's a hustle too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm mutually honest with most people. I'll tell them, like, this is what I plan on doing with it, and they'll 90% of the chance sell the stuff to me. It's the same thing with Facebook. A lot of these other hunters out there are not, just no polite way to put it, are not, they're cheap.
Yeah.
For instance, someone puts up an NES lot for $100 on Facebook. Okay, I go through there. There's a very popular game in there that's worth $200. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Say there's a gun knack in there. Everybody that I have noticed offers less. They'll say, I'll give you $30 for it. I'll give you $50 for it. Where me, I don't know if you do this, I'll go in and be like, okay, I'll give you $150.
Because you know you're going to make it back.
Why are you giving me $50 more? That's a fair, honest price. And then they end up selling it to me. And all these other people are... And there is a reason I do know this happens, because, like an ass, I wanted to test it. I wanted to see if this is truly what's happening, because I noticed I was getting a lot of stuff. Now, last year I slowed down. I didn't go out every weekend. I was beating a dead horse last year. I just didn't really care. This year I plan on going out, but with coronavirus hitting, which we'll get into in a little bit, I don't want to get off topic. It's probably going to be slow in the beginning. But for instance, I went on my wife's Facebook and I put a immaculate box lot up, and I wasn't selling it. Well, actually I was. It was all my doubles that I would take to a convention. So I posted it on there for $250. It was pretty much full retail. Okay. I got hit with so many under $100 offers. It was the most hilarious thing in my life. I was laughing so hard. And it's another good way to find out who all the other hunters are.
That, and you get an idea of what the market the hunters are willing to pay for it. So you kind of
because
you have an idea on how to outbid them.
Most of these people are in it for a profit. We're like me and him. You can obviously see I collect.
Yeah.
I have a wall of games.
For those who are listening to this in podcast form, we are recording this for Josh's YouTube channel, and like his game room is fantastic. I think I mentioned in the last episode just a bit, but like you can see like this, it's not just to make money. This is clearly like a passion of yours. It's not just you're not just in it just to make a profit. And that's what makes. I remember even when we were doing when I went yard selling with you just the one time, you would bring up your phone and show some of the people at the yard sales like your collection. Like, listen, like I know I can resell some of this stuff, but I want to let you know like this is going to go to a home that cares about games. And in a weird sense, that is. Because games are more than just the sum of their parts, you know. It's not just like it's not just the gameplay. It's not just the people who put the time in to develop it. It's the experience that everyone gets out of it, and the people who are just in it for the money, who don't give a shit about that experience. It's very apparent.
I've noticed being a YouTuber and doing this, there's a lot of people that will comment, why did you basically steal that from that person? Why did you do that? And
because you offered them money and they took it.
Offered them money and that's what they wanted and they're good to go. It's not like they said, I want $150 for this, and I went, I'm only going to give you 30, so take it or leave it. You know, if someone brings something out and they go, what are you willing to pay for? And I say $20 and they say deal, that's hey, that's what they sold it to me for.
And don't forget, these are things that for the most part are brought from inside the house. They're not just laying out.
Yes.
Usually when they're advertised or laid out, the price is already there. The owners either know what the prices are and they price according to that, or they just don't care and say, here, I want this price for every game. And I've gotten a lot of slack and shit for, you know, I remember one time I was at a flea and, you know, I've gotten shit for getting games for $5 a pop when they're worth $50, but that's the vendor's price. I didn't.
But
you know,
I would
I'm
also
not gonna shoot myself in the foot.
That, and I would also argue that, especially with yard sales, like they don't have to worry about overhead. They're not a store looking to they're not trying to stores have to turn a profit. So I 100% understand why they have to the reason for the prices that they charge. But when you're at a yard sale, you don't have overhead to worry about. You're not paying to rent that space. It's your house. It's like you already own that.
Yep.
So it's literally everything at a yard sale is meant to be like, I don't need this anymore. Let me just get rid of it. And if they want to strong arm you for it because they know what it's worth, that's totally fair. That's totally on them. They understand the value of what they have to a collector or to the market, and more power to them. But hell, there was a woman I worked with, and she I bought off of her 32 complete in the box NES games,
40 for 40 series.
The 40 for 40 series on the podcast that I did, and I told her flat out, like, these games are worth over $1,000 if you sell them on eBay. Found out later it's worth more than that because I didn't know the value of one of them, and I honestly did not know the value of one of them. But I found out it was worth more later on. But I paid $250 for 32 complete in the box NES games, averaged out to about $750 a piece, right? Found out one of them was SCAT, the Special Cybernetic Attack Team. It's a $250 game, and I got it complete in box for $750. Now, I was honest with her. I told her, like, this is easily over $1,000, like, if you want to sell these all on eBay, but you have to go through all of that work, and most people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Cardboard is one of the first of all, cardboard is one of the most horrendous things that you can ship.
Yeah, because you have to be so careful with it.
With what we're going to talk about in a little bit, you're going to understand why it's could possibly be a hazard to do. But going back to what I was discussing about offering more, I was on my way home from work, and a Game Boy Advance slot popped up with a bunch of boxed Game Boy Advance games. Right away, I noticed Fire Emblem, okay, for the Game Boy Advanced. This is easily $110, $120 game. Crisp box. Lady was moving out of her house, found the stuff. Bunch of boxed games. There's a video back there. I don't know where it is, but
somewhere on your channel.
Yeah. I forget what I paid for it, but I offered her more. And next thing you know, I posted it on New Jersey's retro gaming community Facebook page. I was like, look what I picked up. And a bunch of people were pissed off at me because, you know, they didn't get the chance to get it. And If you offer more money sometimes, you'll get it. Big deal. You offer a little bit more money, but it shouldn't matter if you're a collector looking to get this stuff for your own personal collection rather than just trying to make $1 doing it.
And it's even so, like, if like I understand jealousy with it in an extent. Like, I look at some of the stuff in your room, man, and it's not like jealous in the sense of like, oh my gosh, it's not envy. I want to make a clear distinction. I'm legitimately happy at all the shit you've been able to find, because it's cool stuff to look at, and the fact that it's going to someone that's not just in it for a resale or something like that makes a huge difference to me. And like you were saying, like when you posted it to that New Jersey retro game group, like the fact that people were pissed off tells me more about them than it does about you getting it for a steal, because
it comes down to greed, jealousy.
Exactly.
You know, there's times where one of my favorite things is, and it's in a bunch of videos I've done, where I've literally walked up to the house, asked if they had any video games. Okay. This one lady goes, you know what? I think I have some Sega stuff. Sure enough, she comes out with a bin. It's got an NES top loader in it, and they're all NES sports games.
Yeah.
But a shit ton of them. Okay. I'm literally going through it on the porch away from the rest of the yard sale. This guy comes up, starts reaching in the bin.
While you're
I look
looking
at the
through
guy,
it.
I go, what are you doing? You know, I end up editing that part of the video out because things are said. And this has happened to me so many times where people will just go right around you and start digging through stuff. It's like, bro, I'm buying all of it. So there ain't no point in even looking in it.
I even remember you telling me, and I
probably talked to you about this when we went out that weekend.
That, and I also remember another story you told me, and it didn't happen when we were yard selling together, but it happened to me when I actually went yard selling in my area just for like a day or something. I took like one day last year to do it. And I found a yard sale near me, and I asked them, like, hey, do you have any video games? So that's a big tip you always give everyone. Always ask if they have games, because not a lot of times they don't have it out on the front. They're like, oh, I forgot to bring that out, and then they go get it. But the reason I bring that up is because there was one time that I went, and they're like, yeah, someone's already asked me for that. And I'm like, let me guess, did they come at like 6:30 in the morning? And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, because what you told me, I didn't tell them that, because that would have been a much longer story for them. But the fact that like they'll post about a yard sale, and then people will show up like an hour or like a half an hour before the yard sale is supposed to start, just so they can get a jump up on the competition. And I'm like, there's people still sleeping.
Yeah.
Like they're not even ready. They could be still in their pajamas.
Door knockers out there that will knock on your fucking door and try to get video games. That's insane. How sad this hobby has actually gotten. Now, I want to do a funny video where like I have you and Josh come out. You can come along too, but you're going to not like this. We're going to go through my town and start knocking on doors.
Oh, God.
Like the Jehovah's Witnesses.
I'll wait in the car.
There was one time I told it on the podcast. There was one time that I think you mentioned it in the video too.
Yep.
This lady, I forget what she had, but she had video games upstairs, and it could have been something good in the attic. And he drove back around after she said, like, I don't feel like getting him down, and he offered her like what, $20 or $50?
I offered her $20 to go back up in the attic,
like
and bring
just
it down.
$20 just to go look for it.
This
that
kid
doesn't even
turn white.
That's not
as
even,
a ghost and squealed down into his seat. We go to leave, and I'm like, you know what? She goes, give me your phone number. If I find him, I'll call you back. And I go, you know what? That's not good enough for me. And he's like, he's sitting in the passenger seat. He's like,
because you won't get it.
What are you talking about? I'm like, it's not going to work. So I go around the block. People are looking at us like, what are these idiots doing?
I know,
it's just
right?
Here. And then I put the window down. I go, yo. And she's like, yeah. I was like, I'll give you $20 if you go in your attic just to find them. And she's like, no.
She still said no.
Some people just don't want to make money. I listen, I've gone to so many yard sales where people are like, oh yeah, I got a fucking shit ton of PS2 games upstairs. And the next thing you know, it's like, all right, man, you could. And when they say they don't want to go look, that's when I start throwing dollar signs at them. I'll go, you could have anywhere between $50 to $400 worth of stuff in that box. You know, to trigger their mind to say, oh shit, maybe I should go up and get that stuff.
Yeah.
And when they still say no, it's like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Don't waste your time.
I just told you could make money. And it's not like I won't offer that to them. But they don't care. And it's like, why? Why don't you care? Like, I'm going to give you money. It's not like, you know, depending on what you have will depend. Like Facebook, game hunting on Facebook is fun for me. I put ads out.
I've seen not your ads, but other people's ads. They'll put something up for like $1, but it'll say I'm buying games instead
Yes,
of
and a
I'm
lot of
selling
people
them.
that respond to that either know what they have or they don't have, or you'll get other people that do what me and Eric do.
Yeah.
That'll message you, be like, I got a big tub of NES games, and then you look and there's like 65 Mario Duck Hunts in there, and it's like, okay, bro, I know what you're doing. Like, it ain't gonna work. But do you have anything else you want to put into this topic before we get into the other ones?
It's this hobby is just it's cutthroat. Like sometimes, we were talking about how people get jealous of what you get, but at the same token, like other people get stuff too before me or Josh or anyone else. So you have to have a short memory. You have to have short-term memory and just keep it moving. And a lot of people worry too much about what other people are doing and commenting about what other people are doing. Just worry about yourself, do what you got to do, and you'll be a better hunter for it.
There's a video, one of the biggest guys that does this hobby that actually got me into it. He's a Canadian. His name's CJR on
Like SEEJAY and then ARE.
ARE. Yeah, I shot you over to his channel.
Yeah.
I started watching him. I got into it because I typed in game room. Started watching him. He wasn't actually the first person that I watched that did video game hunting. It was actually Craigslist Game Vines.
Okay.
And they've since just fell off the earth.
Now there's Day One White.
Yeah, Day One White does it. He just started again. Fanta did a Fantavision thing, but that's the channel that primarily got me onto it. Then I saw the CJR, then I got into Reen Bean and all that.
Maximus Black,
who's now a car enthusiast.
He had good
content. But yeah, he did it on Twitch, which was pretty unique.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Now, CJR has a video. It was 3 years ago.
Which one?
He found one of those old Coleco arcade machines.
Oh, like the tabletop?
Tabletop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone in his pickup truck drove by and went, that's worth like $200. When he was buying it for, I want to say $20 to $50, which is what the guy wanted for it.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with shit like that too. That's another game hunter who's sore. His ass, it's not wiped properly. And
in all honesty,
he missed out.
I don't want to, whatever. I'm not trying to boast or whatever, say whatever.
It's happened to you too.
I know. But if I see someone that I know is looking for video games and they're already at a sale that I come by,
Yep.
You know what I do?
Walk to the next one.
I'll either nod at them, and I will go on the opposite side of town, so that if I do meet them, it's at the very end of garage sailing. Just keep it moving.
Yep.
A lot of people like to go into the people's sales and see what they're getting and be nosy because they're not worrying about themselves. They're worrying about what other people are doing. But instead of wasting your time there, causing a bid war, causing a scene, causing drama, just keep it moving and go to the other side of town.
I was not expecting this to turn into like
It's-
a whole all the drama.
It's a cutthroat
like,
community,
especially in Jersey.
It really is.
That's
Jersey's
crazy.
bad. I game hunt in Jersey.
North Jersey is the worst.
Yes.
I try to stay away.
Now, another hint you can do is when you go to a yard sale, it all depends on how you approach people. I'm not going to tell you how I approach them, but obviously you can tell that it works out for me.
Yeah.
But, if they say no, that they don't have any video games, I start reading off a list, and then the next thing you know, you say Game Boy, and it's like, oh yeah, I got one of those. But
and they're like, they don't consider it a video game or something.
yeah,
like
so
that.
you gotta like go off.
Well, it
on what
also
the subject
I also feel
is.
like especially people from an older generation, they consider every video game a Nintendo.
Bro,
so
that
when you
lady
say
with the top loader,
Yeah.
she had to have been 80, 88 years old.
and it's just funny because like how especially it's usually in the South, but they call all soda a Coke. Like that's just something that you see. It's kind of similar. It's like Nintendo became ubiquitous, and now everyone refers to video games as Nintendo, or people who don't know video games just refer to all video games as Nintendo. It could be a Sega, it could be a Genesis or a Game Gear or whatever, and they're still going to call it a Nintendo because that's where they first started remembering video games. That's when they first got to it. So like, you're right. If you mention specifics, they're like, oh, I know what that is, because it's no longer video games. Like, it's the specific thing they know it as.
Mm-hmm. Well, for instance, last year, here's a really funny thing that happened to me. Last year, I went to a townwide yard sale. It was my mom's 60th birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
That day, they were coming home, so I went right across the bridge to a community yard sale. I had a lady pull a grape Fantastic N64 out of her fucking garbage can.
I think I remember that video. Yeah.
I was too late to turn the camera on, but you can see her pull the bag. She just closed the lid on the garbage can, puts the bag on the ground. I was just in shock. I forgot to even turn the camera on.
Like, why would you throw that out?
She
like,
didn't know what it was.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, I don't understand why you would.
When these people move, when they're moving and having a final yard sale, they just want to get rid of shit. Yep. She didn't know what was in there.
Yeah.
There's PS1 games in there. All sorts of stuff. I ended up buying all of it.
That's crazy.
But like, bro, you don't know what's in. I found PS1 games in the garbage before. I was literally right down the road, driving up the road, and someone had bought the house. I think it was a sheriff's auction, so the house still had everything in it, which is a very big thing around here, unfortunately. But I'm driving up the road and I see jewel cases, and I'm thinking like, oh, there's some CDs. Maybe I'll grab some CDs because these people
always
have just
look
been
at
empty.
CDs.
I look. One of them was Rampage World Tour for PS1, and I forget what the other one was. But yeah, there were PS1 games in the garbage. Yep.
That's wild.
And that was before I started the whole YouTube thing.
Yeah.
But basically, the first day I ever went out, okay, was one of my best days I ever had. I said to my wife, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to go yard selling and find video games.
Expectations.
So
it's set up high.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, there ain't fucking no one else around here that does this. I'm going to do this great. It's going to be fantastic. First yard sale I go to, I find Mickey's Epic Adventure, whatever it is, on the Wii. I'm like, hell yeah, $1. This is fantastic. I found my first game. Next sale I go to, there's a kid with an NES shirt walking away with a boxed PS3 and a bunch of games, and I look like someone just kicked my dog.
Did you at least get the paintbrush controller with it?
So
I have the paintbrush controller with mine.
The guy says to me, because I had an NES shirt on too. I always wear a video gaming shirt, and I know a lot of people say that's stupid to do, but I do it, and there's a reason why.
It's
I do
50-50.
it. There's a reason why I do it.
I don't personally do it.
I do it, one, because other hunters see it, and it makes them flee. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I do it too because it helps the person that I'm asking for the video games realize that I'm fucking into doing this.
Yeah, it's not just for the profit.
Yes.
It's for, yeah.
Now, I don't wear Mario socks too, where I'm like, oh, I'm all decked out. Look at me. You know.
Oh, I'll wear Mario
but
socks now.
The next sale, that guy said to me, he goes, you snooze, you lose. Now, think of being someone that's just starting to do this and having someone say that to you. I was dead.
Could be motivation too.
I left. I was so pissed. My wife's like, "Oh Jesus, great. This is fantastic."
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to listen to him bitch the whole rest of the day. I think I drove from Allentown, PA, all the way to Marshall's Creek.
I don't even know where that is.
That's an hour and a half drive. Okay.
Oh geez. Okay.
I'm just driving. I'm driving towards Port Jervis, New York. That's how pissed off I am. Sooner or later, I get up towards Marshall Creek and there's a yard sale sign. So I make the left turn, didn't realize the arrow had a right. Start driving up this friggin' dirt road. Nothing. I'm like, God damn it, I must have went the wrong way. So I turn around, go across the intersection, pull up. This guy's got this airplane hanger. Like, big thing. And unfortunately, I don't have the footage for any of this because it was on that broken iPad. And I couldn't get it fixed.
I'm sure you don't have to... You don't need proof of it, but
well, it's right behind me. So I go through this little airplane hangar he's got that he had his RV parked in, and I run through it real quick, and I'm like, there's nothing. So there's my wife, picking up every little thing. Oh, I want this, and I'm like, can we go? And then I look, and just in the corner of my eye, because I was in such a bad mood that I thought I was never gonna find anything.
Yeah.
This, I see the N64 logo, and I'm like, how did I not see that? I walk over there. There's a boxed smoke black N64.
Is that the one that's directly up there?
That's the one that
then?
is sitting right there.
Okay.
I paid $30 for that.
With this console still in it and everything?
The console is mint.
Oh, it's
Everything's
beautiful.
still in its wrapping
That's
paper.
beautiful.
The kid basically got it for Christmas and never used it. There's a $30 sticker on it. I looked at the lady, $30. She goes, yep. I gave her the 30 and I threw it in the trunk of my car.
Again,
awesome.
That was her price.
Okay. Then I go back because underneath the box was the tub full of games. There's about $300-$400 worth of games. I paid $55 for. Now that I negotiated for. She goes to me, she goes, you cannot have the Pokemon game that's there because that Pokemon game is worth $200 on its own. It was Hey You Pikachu. It's a fucking
10 at most.
$15 cart.
Yeah, the cart is worth nothing. The console, if it was the
microphone-
the
Pikachu
console's a
is worth-
$400 console.
Yeah.
The microphone is worth more than the game.
So I said, all right, whatever, that's fine. And then the father comes down and basically said his son's worthless, just and throws me a free Sega Game Gear, which didn't work.
But still, you got you got
But
something free.
that just goes to show, don't be in a bad mood because you'll eventually find something. And
And
I've learned that over the 3 or 4 years I've been
Short
doing
memory.
this.
Well, that and it's easy come, easy go. Like you never know what you're gonna luck into. Like and you never know what you're gonna miss too. Like remember when the one time I know I keep referencing it, but that one time, the only time I've gone with you, we were looking through PS1 games. There was a black case. And he overlooked the black case because he never opened it. I opened it up, found Twisted Metal 2 and 4 and 3. I think at least 2
You
and 4.
found all the Twisted Metals.
Not the original. It didn't
Cabela's Deer Hunt.
have Cabela's Deer Hunt and it was a PS3 copy of Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
But it was
But
all these
still,
games. It
Twisted
was,
Metal 2 was the prize.
It's a good lot. You paid what, $1 for that whole?
yeah, I paid
Probably
$1.
like at least 40
Paid $1
bucks,
for
right?
And I paid $1 for
Yeah,
it
I
because
got Resistance while I was there,
yeah.
which is the greatest PS3 trilogy of all time. If
I
you
want
haven't
to do
played
an.
the
I want to
Resistance,
do I still have to beat all those games, and I want to do episodes.
That'll
on
be
them
a
at some
5-hour
point.
episode.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Go into complete fan lore. Over that is a series that they need to bring back.
Dude,
for the PS5.
Insomniac Games makes great games. I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan, so I will always support Resistance because it's made by Insomniac.
There is a troll group that goes on to Insomniac's live streams because they do live plays.
Yeah.
And literally just goes on there and says, "Bring Resistance back." And they're all like, "Oh my god, go away."
That's like what is it? Limited run games. Everyone's always asking for Scott Pilgrim on theirs. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Everyone's asking for Scott Pilgrim, and they're like, "Oh god, another." They're pretty active on social media. They'll respond to the troll
That's a
too.
whole
It's
other
funny.
thing. You got these guys, they're buying up all these limited run games and they're keeping them sealed. They don't even play them.
Creating the market themselves.
There's another YouTuber that does it. He's a joke. I'm not for it. I don't care. There's a whole thing with this YouTuber thing. Okay. Most of these YouTubers you see are not them actual selves. They put on a fake persona. They act like they're all this and that. And when you deal with them in real life, they're not who they are on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's sad to see, going to conventions, you see this. I got to sit there and drink with Jay from the Game Chasers for 5 hours. We drank a whole bottle of tequila. Not my proudest moment, but I literally sat there with this guy. And I said to him, like, do you want to talk about something other than video games? And the guy, you would have thought 400 pounds just came off his shoulders. He was so happy to hear that someone wanted to have a normal conversation that wasn't just involved with video games.
And I feel for the guy too, and even like the fans who go up to like famous YouTubers and stuff like that, because this is the only thing that you know about them. Mm-hmm. So what's your only frame of reference with the person that you want to get to know? It's video games. So it's unfortunate because
that's the career they took, though.
It's the career they took.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like it's an awful thing, but I can understand how that would get frustrating for the YouTuber after a while, because the only thing people are going to come up and talk to them about is what they made their I don't know if it's their livelihood. I don't know if they work a side job besides YouTube, but like some YouTubers do, some don't. But they whatever they do, they've become known because of this one thing.
Yep.
And even with like this, like with the video game podcast I do, that's how I get like people talking to me about like, oh, I know you like games, do you want this? And that's fine. But I also then of course end up getting like, they'll see a Mario and be like, oh, that's Mario, don't you think that's cool? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but I've seen 1,000 Mario things. Like and I will always be polite. I will never be rude about it. I'm like, oh yeah, thank you for pointing that out to me. And I'm nowhere like Game Chasers are way bigger than I'll ever be. Oh
yeah, me too.
Like it's not even that. I feel for the guy in an extent.
I don't have a lot of subscribers. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I gotta say this.
No, go for it.
I don't care. Okay,
You do
I
it for
put the
fun.
stuff on there because it's a fun hobby to do. I'm not in it to get monetized, because if I was, I would have gave up by now. I don't care about getting my $80 YouTube check, because that's all you're gonna get with friggin' 10,000 subs. Big deal. I don't care. I work a 40-hour-a-week job. I drive a train. I participate in the world. I'm not a full-time reseller. I got good benefits, insurance. I'm set. I'm looking at real life, not the second life that I have, which is video games. But I do it for fun. And that's why I like doing it. But these other guys, they're just so stuck up and just, you know what I'm talking about.
And I think, I don't think we should take every word he's saying, negatively. It's just that, there's nothing wrong with being a full-time reseller, obviously. Like,
No,
if that's your job, that's your job. You're working, you're hustling, you're doing what you have to do.
There's a guy named Chase After the Right Prices on YouTube. Would he clear 30, 40 grand over December? Good for you, dude. That's awesome. You got twins. You got to support your family.
Exactly.
That is fucking beyond amazing. 30,000 something dollars this guy made on Amazon reselling. That's crazy. Yeah. And it's not like he's bullshitting you, because he shows you the proof. He actually shows you screenshots.
And he shows what he makes on YouTube also, which
was
clarifies,
realistic.
which justifies what Josh was just saying.
Yeah, he made what, $280 in a whole year?
I don't remember, but
it
was nothing
YouTube
crazy.
ads don't.
Unless you're Mr. Beast, where you got 25 million views on a video, you ain't making shit. So that's why I could care less about monetization. I work. I have a real job.
Again, I think more of what Josh is trying to say is that there's a lot of people on YouTubers that, there's a lot of YouTubers that, they aren't themselves. They put on a fake bravado for the camera, but when it comes to real life or doing real life things or supporting their fans or whatever they need to do, they're just a complete 180.
Well, the whole e-begging thing is the greatest thing too.
Radical.
So I literally so it's funny because I wasn't expecting this whole thing to happen. So this is fascinating.
I told you when we just left the bar.
We did. To be fair, I do remember you mentioning we should do a whole episode about game chasing in general, about game hunting. I just don't.
It only took us 2 years.
It only took us 2 years to do it. So, but I wasn't expecting but all of, I don't want to call it gossip, but all the frustrations. This feels cathartic for you guys, almost in a sense. Just get your frustrations out about the bullshit that goes on in the game hunting world and
there's
yard selling.
So much lore. For instance,
lore?
you got
what is it?
You got Radical Rick, who does nothing but just bash all the bigger YouTubers like John Hancock, who's supposedly not ever going to have a video game museum and is basically just taking everything from anybody so he can say he has it, which, I really don't care. I don't get into that shit. It doesn't bother me much. The guys did leave a sore taste in my mouth when I met him at a recent con. I gave them some stuff, said, hey, give me a quick shout out and all that, and they never did, which is typical of bigger YouTubers. I don't ever want to become that, which is why I'm glad I only have a small sub count.
Well, and also I think there's a benefit to when you network with people who are up and coming. And I don't mean that in a shitty way, but by you networking with people who are up and coming, you get to know them at the ground level. You get to know them before anything hits them. You get to know them before fame could possibly change. Doesn't mean it will.
Which it's happened before.
Fame does change people, and it also doesn't change
shut,
people.
But this is just... it's beyond my limitations of being able to talk about, because there's some bigger YouTubes people that I know, and I don't want to ruin a relationship with them. That would be more something where they would have to come in, which they never will. But that would be something that we could do at a convention. I can hook you up with them. But there was an incident where a YouTuber was doing a collab with one of them, and this guy became very, 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 very popular. And basically just shot off the other YouTuber. Well, he remembered that. And when he went into a hard place, he wanted to come back and went to the guy and said, hey, would you like to do something? And he said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, because you screwed me over once before. And I a lot of the YouTubers, or not to say YouTubers, a lot of the content creators that I work with, that's why I try to pick more when I network. I was saying this off mic. When I network, I always want it to be with someone that I actually like, someone that I can actually hang out with.
I like you too.
Oh, thank you. you have pretty eyes.
Well, the funniest thing is how we met. So
I
started my Instagram channel long before I did my YouTube. Came up with Firespin Gaming. Charizard's my favorite Pokemon, and Firespin's his best attack.
I was wondering
boom,
where they came from. There it goes. All right.
So you don't want to hear.
Who do you credit with the name?
My wife.
That's right.
Yep, my wife. God bless her. We're married. Sometimes
I would hope so if she's your wife
right now because of the weather change and everything. I have a very bad case of Lyme disease. A lot of people don't realize that.
I did not know that.
And it does affect me. Ever since I got it, I gained a lot of weight because my joints they're really fucked up. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about game hunting. So, where was I going to go with this? You had added me a Still Loading podcast on there, and we never talked. Well, I ended up going to a rinky-dinky video game swap before I started getting
like really far away from where we are right now.
Yes,
like now that I see it,
that's down by you.
That's like a 2-hour drive for you.
Yeah. I went there. I made, I want to say like $50. It wasn't even worth going to. They don't do it anymore.
That's your guess.
They did it twice, and the second time it was right at.
You bought Aladdin for me on the Sega Genesis, and we started bullshit. And then he's like, "Yeah, I got an Instagram channel. You should follow it." He's like, "Still Loading podcast." I'm like, "Fucker, I already follow you." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm Firespin Gaming." And then the friendship grew from there. You know, I started listening to his podcast. The 40 for 40 series kind of like took a long time, but
yeah, no, I everyone tells me that like that was like the slow part, but
yeah.
I still say the 40 for 40 series was what taught me how to podcast.
Yes, and you're like, great now. I mean, oh my god,
I still have a long way to go. But
if you guys have a long commute to work like me, it takes me about 45 minutes to get to work.
That's about
his podcast, a bunch of other video game related podcasts. They keep me awake in the morning while I'm driving to work, and it's very great. I can't wait to hear myself through the speaker of my car.
It will be weird at first. The biggest difference that I always get with people who've never like listened to themselves on a podcast before is that they're like, "Oh, I sound so weird," and there's actually
I'll be saying that soon.
Well, there's actually a reason for that. So when you speak, when you listen to yourself speak, you're hearing like your jawbone vibrate. So you're not getting just the sound coming out of your mouth. You're also getting the vibrations through your jawbones into your inner ear. So you kind of get a combo of the two. When you're listening to yourself on a podcast or some other audio recording or video recording, you don't have the jawbone added to it. It's just the pure audio. So you sound so different. Like I actually think I sound a lot deeper when I'm speaking than when I listen to myself just straight.
Same here.
You have a radio voice. I've told you that many a time.
Well, thank you. That's how you and I met, though. It was kind of crazy because I think I even remember like looking at your stand and seeing your business card for Firespin Game. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
And then I also added Game Case King, but I haven't seen him in ages anymore. I don't know what happened to him.
Which one?
On Instagram, his name is Game Case King. He was a really nice guy. He sold like posters, and he also sold like he sold like some of the clear boxes and stuff like that for your box games.
I'll tell you what. Don't take this too sensitively.
I'm a sensitive person, but go on.
I've met some of the best people I could have met through this hobby.
Oh, 100%.
Great people. Fantastic people. Great people. Just fantastic.
Huge hearts.
Trust me, everyone agrees. But no, really.
I can't do it. You do the impersonation.
I mean, between you, Josh,
the other Josh, there's a third Josh that when we all met at Too Many Games, I was like, oh my god, I don't know which one of us is talking anymore. It's too hard.
Too many Joshes.
I feel really left out.
Louis from Gotham City Games. I mean, Ralph. Everybody, just fantastic people. Just beyond a great friendship. Just.
Oh, we were talking.
I talk to you every day.
I mean, we were talking about a lot of the. You were talking about a lot of the issues that you've encountered with game chasing and game hunting and stuff like that. But like you just said, there's also a lot of benefits because now you get to meet people. And you were also saying like how you don't like certain YouTubers are much more fake on their YouTube channels than they are in real life. Then that's not who they are in real life. And that's why it's you kind of razz me on it a little bit, and it definitely warrants it. But like I take everything so like seriously, but at the same time I'm lighthearted, but I take everything at face value.
Let me give you an idea how this works. Yeah. So when I started my channel, I wanted to do something cool. Like I want to do a collab where like, all right, the person who finds the best amount of stuff has to donate something to a charity of their choice, something that will benefit, and it would be a cool, collab.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. I reached out to a bunch of the guys. I started trying to talk to them, and no one wanted to do shit. So it's like, all right, whatever. And then one day I'm sitting in my bathroom, and I get a mess. I'm being honest, man. I was legitimately in the shower.
Oh, okay.
And my phone goes off. So I reach out and I grab it because I'm thinking it's like my wife. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Bro, everyone's glued to their phone. You know that.
Yeah.
So I look at it and it's a message from CJR in Canada. Hey, you want to do a collab? I fanboyed. I started screaming like a little girl.
He's the king.
He's the king, right?
King of the North.
Don't care what anyone says. He is the king. He is the reason why. He's the reason why.
The guy's been doing this for 8 years.
Man, you are peaking the audio. Like, you're either super quiet and then you're
sorry.
super... Sorry,
the
go on.
guy's been doing this for 8 years. Why me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Did
know.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
Yeah,
or
I've talked to him offhand. I'm real with people. Like I'll message him, be like, dude, nice finds. Blah 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 blah. We'll talk about other shit. Like the one time he went AFK for a while, and for instance, it's just you got to be real with people. You can't be fake. You got to be real, realistic.
I think that's what Josh was trying to say before. He's not hating. He's not bashing
I'm not hating
people.
anybody.
Everybody is entitled to do whatever they want to do with their lives, yada, yada, yada. But just don't change who you are because you're on camera. Because a couple thousand people see you.
I don't.
Just be real.
I don't think that. I honestly think that's actively hurting people because let's say you do get big, right? Let's say your personality has nothing to, because personality doesn't always have to do with success. Like, you could be the nicest person in the world and still have no success, but it actively hurts you because then when you interact with people outside of that medium or outside of what you're doing, then you have to put on the fake persona again. So either you're emotionally exhausting yourself or you are going to be a dick to somebody because that's who you are. So then that hurts your fan base. And then what happens, it sucks. Like, Kevin Smith talks about this a lot. Like, he's always so great with his fans. Mm-hmm. And he'll say, like, it only takes one fan that you're an asshole to. He doesn't say that but exactly like that, but it only takes one encounter. Like, you can
ruin it.
And they'll ruin it.
Yep.
They'll remember, they'll spread it to everyone. And if you're nice to someone, they'll be like, oh, that person was really nice. And they won't say a word to any of their friends. But if that one celebrity, whoever it may be, I'm not even talking about like YouTube celebrity or higher, that one, if you're a dick to one of them, they're going to tell everybody that you're an asshole.
One negative will destroy 100 positives. Doesn't matter.
Comes to a line that I know from a song. Fuck living positive because negativity spreads faster.
I always live positive anyway.
Sounds good.
But
You want to play it?
Lloyd Banks. That's old school.
But no, it just it actively, I feel like it actively hurts people for that because you have to. I don't know. I don't understand what it gains because I don't understand what it gains from that. Like the ego that gets ingrained into you because it's like you got there. Maybe you worked your ass off to get there, but there's 100% like, especially in the age of like digital media and stuff like that, there's no way you did it on your own. You didn't get on your own without networking. You didn't get because when you network, like as soon as you start networking, you're no longer doing it on your own because other people are pimping your shit too. So it's like you're not by yourself anymore. You had everyone help you. Hell, even like all three of us were married. Our wives support us in some way, shape, or form. So it's like you're no longer doing your own. The fact that someone's willing to put up with your shit while you do something that like, at least for me, actively eats money. I lose money on the podcast because it costs a certain amount for hosting fees. I've spent probably close to $500 on the rig. Granted, once again, sorry I didn't bring a third mic. I totally miscommunication. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sharing this one right here.
Failure.
So if you guys actually hear anything with Josh and Eric, it's because I only have one mic for both of them. They're doing a good job though.
Josh, I have one question for you. But you said you probably lose money doing the podcast, but why do you do it?
Oh, it's fun. It's fucking
Exactly.
fun. It's
you have
fun.
a passion for it.
It's because I like talking about
Exactly.
video games, and it's.
Editing a video, I'm sure, is just as long as editing a podcast.
I would say it's longer.
It takes me about 6 hours to do a video.
So what's nice about editing a podcast is it takes the length of the episode because I just listen straight through it.
Yeah.
The longest part is adding the theme song and also adding the outro music that I put on every episode.
In the beginning, I would edit out every swear word. I would talk differently. Now it's to the point where I just don't give a fuck because I'm not trying to be someone I'm not.
The and that was actually the same with me. Like I've said before, I'm actually fairly religious, believe it or not. But
know you
like,
are.
but I also am not the type that like I don't talk about it on the podcast, and I definitely don't act like a stereotypical religious person. I'm not going to get into the theology behind why I kind of act the way I do, but like I don't I tried to do that at the beginning because I was a religious. I'm like, well, I don't want to swear. I don't want to do that. But then it just felt like I was holding so much back and I didn't feel like I could speak comfortably. Now, with that said, I still guard my words a little bit because I don't want to I don't want to alienate anyone. I'm not even saying in terms of like political correctness stuff, like just in general, like I just don't want to alienate anyone because gaming is for everybody. So the whole purpose of this podcast, one started just as a way to talk about games, and now it's kind of more turned into like, I love video game history. Like, in fact, you're giving me a whole bunch of old shit that I've never seen before. And
Giving it to him.
yes, giving. He's a generous person.
I give shit away. I actually give shit away.
He
Thank you
does
very
actually.
much.
I next time I see you,
What
I'll
am I
bring
going
you-
to do with it?
Next time I see you, I'll
really?
make sure to get that copy of General Chaos to you as well.
Okay, so we're trading now. I'm not giving it to you.
Well, no, but
You're winning out on
the
the
val.
long run.
Yes, I
Hey,
am.
well, supposedly you're giving me something too.
Yeah, I'm giving you a goddamn shelf.
It's amazing.
But no, like there's it's you do it because you love it. It's the same thing. I had Game Dave on the podcast before, and he's a full-time teacher. He doesn't make money off of YouTube, and his videos have super high production value.
He
He
has great
likes
quality.
doing it.
Yeah.
He loves to do it. He's a good guy. He's a really nice guy.
He's the life
Isn't
of
he,
the con.
isn't he part of the Game Chasers movie cast?
He is part of the Game Chasers movie cast.
No shit.
Yeah, he's in it. He was out. He went out and filmed for a couple days. I didn't. I mean, I wish. I don't get to talk to Dave all that often. I actually emailed him to work on this. Actually, I guess at the time that this episode is going to be released, the project's going to be announced. I emailed him to do an episode on the summer of PS2 that I'm doing, but I haven't heard back from him. So I know he's a busy guy. He's
When are you doing that?
this summer.
Well, good. Me and him will be here.
Okay.
We'll come to you.
But no, but he's also a dad now, so he also has to actually take care of a kid. So I understand his schedule's probably chaotic, but
I still remember opening up my PS2 on Christmas Day, and it's in the other room.
is it?
Yep, that is the one
That
system I held on to.
That's the other reason I
those
started
Game
this.
Boys?
Yeah,
Those are mine and my brother's original purple Game Boys.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That's the
Everything
thing.
else I sold like an idiot, but I bought a ring, and that's why I'm married,
Yeah,
and I love my wife dearly. I love you. She's not in here.
I know. She's going to be so confused too. Like, why is he just randomly yelling that?
Her parents are sick right now, so she
she
was going to
too?
go over there and hang
Okay.
out with them, but
Well, but no, the other half of the podcast is just nostalgia. I fucking love like the memories associated with video games, and PS2 is the same thing. Like I remember when we got my PS2 for Christmas. We still have the exact same PS2. It's over at my parents' house, but they still have it, and I still remember like opening up the or my brother got a gift and it was a DVD, and this was before we had a DVD player.
did you open a game up before you opened a system?
we
up?
opened a DVD up beforehand, and I remember seeing it was a VeggieTales.
But you
DVD.
didn't have a DVD player.
And
Nope.
I was the dumb kid that was like, "Oh, that's cool," and I moved on. And then my mom's like, "No, look at it." I'm like, "Yeah, it's VeggieTales." She's like, "No, look at it." And I see that it's a DVD. I'm like, "No." And then the next thing over, this box comes out wrapped. I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" And it was the
Probably was as big
PS2.
as this table.
So when I
Yeah,
opened my
yeah.
PS2 up, I got Medal of Honor Frontline with it, and I remember putting it on in the first missions to D-Day invasion.
Dude,
And
that game,
We
That
had
was
it on
good.
our
Frontline
TV
was
in
awesome.
the living room, and my dad was sitting on the couch, and it's like watching a movie. Well, growing up through time, when I got my PS4 and I was playing a war game, when I was still living at home, he came into the bedroom and he's like, "Holy shit!"
it's
was like, yeah, man,
changed.
it's
it's crazy.
What year was the PS2 released?
2001.
2001?
PS2 was 2000.
2000.
2000.
Yeah. It was the
2000.
millennium.
I was
So the
15.
summer of PS2 is in honor of the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation. Actually, PlayStation 2 came out in Japan in March, and then in November in North America.
Yeah,
So it's the same year, but just a couple months
Over
apart.
150 million units sold.
Highest selling console of all
Yep,
time.
and that's because it was a DVD player
I
too.
remember.
Oh,
bought-
100%.
Well, my parents bought me a PS2 because I wanted to play one game specifically, GTA 3.
Barbie.
GTA 3.
Both.
Great game.
Barbie TA.
See,
BTA.
my whole nostalgia. I don't really have nostalgia for PS2. I probably played 10 games on it.
We were saying off mic, you're a little bit older than us, so you're more an NES kid, right? Or was it Super Nintendo?
I'm definitely a cart based. And if I go CD based, it's Saturn or PS1.
Mine was an N64, but I'm old enough that it should have been Super Nintendo, but I didn't have a game console until I was like 10 or 11, and that was the N64. That was my first console. I've said it 1,000 times on the episode on the podcast.
I still have great nostalgia for the 64, but nothing like the NES.
Is that the expensive one?
Yeah,
that is
$25, $30.
Sorry, we're looking at the copy of
Yeah.
Manhattan TMNT, the Manhattan Project.
I don't even know all the shit I have. Well, here's a funny story. My buddy, when we were like, I want to say, 3rd grade, Brett Morrison, gets a PS1 for his birthday. His grandma bought him Grand Theft Auto 2.
Didn't know what it was. Didn't know what it was. Oh my god!
Fucking playing in the living room and you hear "dickhead," "fuckface," shit like that.
There's a
the game got thrown out the window.
Oh my god! Really?
Yes.
There's.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I always find it funny with Grand Theft Auto. I've said this on the podcast before too, but one of the craziest things about GTA is that when I took game design in college, and there was a bunch of my professor was telling me a bunch of people who never played video games before played Grand Theft Auto. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know about Grand Theft Auto. They didn't tell them it was Grand Theft Auto, because if they would have, they probably would have heard some crazy news story about it. They got in a car and they followed all the traffic laws. They would stop at stoplights. I did that. They would go agree. I do that to be like, I want to see how realistic I can make this, but I never do it like 5, seriously.
Me and my buddy Brian Kelton and Jesse Evans, real life friends.
Is that Trevor?
No, you don't know him.
No. GTA 5, the character. Is it
No. We'd play online and we would legitimately drive the Clucking Bell tractor trailers. We'd go all the way up to the north of the map at the truck stop.
Okay.
And we would fucking drive the trucks, stop at every stop sign, drive the speed limit. We'd have a little convoy going, and we would drive the Clucking Bell that's in the city. We would drop the trailers.
It's so
leave.
funny how it is.
I'll be honest, I stopped playing GTA after San Andreas. San Andreas is the last one I played.
That is the highest selling PS2 game, by the way. Fun fact.
Great game.
It's a really good game. Remember the Combine at the weed farm?
I mean, vaguely, but yes.
I have not played any GTA games, believe it or not.
Really?
I've played 4. Okay, so I have played them. I've not beaten any. I've played 4. I've tinkered
4 is
around.
good.
I've tinkered around with Vice City, and that's about it. Like
Vice City's good too.
See, I'm playing Vice City. It was cool, but it does not age well. I'm not even talking about the graphics. I totally get why graphics don't age well. I can forgive
Vice City, I think
graphics not aging well, but like
actually, someone did
the controls are not kind, or the time is not kind to those controls. That's what I'm trying to say.
GTA 3 was on PS2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making.
I actually have it.
Just making sure I got it right.
2 and European. What was it? The UK
1 and 2 was on PS1.
Yeah, and there's a London one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah, just yawning. You're boring. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about in terms of game hunting? We kind of went all over the place, which I like. I like how this is kind of more of an informal chat.
I already
than
told
like,
you this is gonna be a 3-hour episode.
We're an hour
more,
in.
but at the same time, I don't think we also want to say too much either.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing.
You have to be unique. You got to think outside the box.
With the health epidemic that's going on worldwide right now, I really do believe the coronavirus is going to have an effect with yard sailing season this year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At least for the first 2 months. So where we would start around now in March, it's definitely going to affect everybody at least into May.
Oh yeah, it stinks because it's like it's going to affect a lot of stuff for a long while.
It's going to affect a lot, but I'll tell you why. It gives people a lot of time to play video games. I mean, it's getting to the point now where we just saw on the news 2 hours ago that Hoboken, New Jersey's now going into lockdown.
Now, when this episode goes up, it's going to be in April, but we'll see what's happening still.
For you, this is going to probably go up for me.
Okay, pretty soon after.
Tonight.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, it's to the point now where do you really want to go? It's going to affect certain parts of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, where I'm at, it's definitely going to affect not so much as it will a majority of New Jersey. So by me, I could go to Bumblefuck, PA, center of PA, drive a 2-hour distance, go to a couple yard sales, and it's not going to affect that. But if it comes to the point where the country does go into a lockdown, which will happen for at least 30 days, a lot of people are panicking, grabbing toilet paper and everything. Yeah, that's good and fantastic. You just, bought toilet paper. But if it happens, it's the only way you can stop something like this. And it's not going to be something that's going to get smacked down with a golden fist right away. That's why we're leaning into it. They already talked about if it does come to that, employers have to pay their employees, and then they'll all get a tax break at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't fear mongle into it. It is what it is. Look at Italy.
We're gonna have a
Look
lot
at
of
the
time
rest
to
of the
play
world.
games. That's
Yeah.
how the thing is, I'm not trying to underplay it either. It's just I always try to look on the hopeful and optimistic side, because looking at the depressing, pessimistic side doesn't help anybody, and it just gives into panic.
There has been something. There was the Spanish flu in 1920. There was another virus in 1820. There was probably something in 1720. Then you go back to the Black Plague. This has happened every 100 years. So it's time. It's going to happen. It is what it is. You got to deal with it. But, I mean, if you're stupid enough to go yard sailing during the middle of it, then go for it. I mean, congratulations. Yeah, you made a YouTube video and you found a gun knack. We're proud of you. Congratulations. I'm going to stay in my house, wipe my butt with the 400,000 rolls of toilet paper I got, and eventually starve to death because I spent all my money on toilet paper and no meat.
I guess looking at it from the other side too is from a game hunting perspective. Yeah, it might affect garage sales, but it also might affect competition for hunting.
Yep.
So I guess if you are brave enough, quote unquote,
Oh, I'm just too lazy to
you
go
might,
hunting.
maybe you'll do better than you normally do. Maybe there'll be less competition. We don't know how or what or how long this is going to be. Who knows? But
is there anything left that you guys still want to say? Is there anything that we haven't brought up? I feel like you had a list of topics in your head that you wanted to go into. I don't know if we covered them all, or is there anything else that you want to just talk about?
Emerald.
Oh, okay. So, like I was talking about before, I recently sold a Pokemon Emerald
Okay.
on eBay. I'm gonna move over here. So, I sold my Pokemon Emerald for $65 on eBay. And like everything else, I've shipped loose DS games, fine, no problem, whole 9 yards. I send this, and delivery was Monday of this week, past week, sorry. And he got it. It showed it was delivered. And Wednesday, he decides to open a case up. And he leaves a message saying that the game was not in there. There was a tear in the side of the package, like a USPS employee opened it. So now I'm pissed.
Because you know that the game was in there and there was no tear.
Bro, I put it in an envelope. I wrapped the envelope with duct tape, clear duct tape, like the wrapping.
Yeah,
Duct tape.
packaging tape, pretty
Yes.
much.
The only way you were getting in there was with a K-bar knife or a pair of scissors. Okay. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I message him. I say, all right, not a problem. Can you please provide photos of the packaging? So that was my response to him. He responds to me, what was it, Thursday or Friday? Mm-hmm. He responds to me with the packaging. Scissor cut on the corner, just big enough so the Emerald game can come out. So I'm like, all right, this ain't going to work with me. So I call his buddy Adam up, who sells on eBay permanently. And he told me that, here, that's the slice.
Okay.
So he tells me you're not going to win. It doesn't matter.
Wow, yeah.
eBay doesn't back their buyer, their sellers. The buyer always wins.
It sucks because I understand it to an extent because there's a lot of shitty or sellers out there too. But I get it.
So me, who was like, yeah, this ain't going to work, I'm not giving it to him because it's obviously a scam. I look at his account. His account has 66,000 bought items on it. It's crazy. This guy has bought over 66,000 transactions.
Unless
Not one single thing sold on the account. So I go into the PayPal that transaction went through, and there's nothing there. So I go online, I type his address in. So it comes up as a game store in South Dakota. So I'm like, huh, interesting. So I type in the game store online. Well, they got an eBay store. Funny. The package got delivered. What was it? The 9th. They sold one on the 10th. And then he puts in the report that there was nothing in the mat after he sold it. So I call eBay up. I get this real nice guy from America, so it was easier to deal with. And sure enough, the guy goes, yep, this guy's got a lot of issues with his account. Case is closed. You're keeping your money. I'm flagging both accounts. So never give up.
I think he wanted to hire you, right?
What? Yeah, he asked me, "Do you want a job with eBay?" And I told him no. But yeah, and once again, I called eBay customer service up. I was real polite. I was nice to him. I talked to him like they're a human being, like all people should be treated. And sure enough, it went my way, and that's the way things should be. But that is something you need to realize on eBay, that people can scam you.
I think this guy's a nominee for something.
Yeah, if the CU podcast is listening, that would be a real good scumbag seller of the week.
That
private message me. Actually, I'll just email Pat, give him all the info.
That'd be
That's another person that I've
Basically,
contacted
this
with
guy's
cons with, and
couple-year operation was shut down with a little research.
But that's another thing with these conventions. You know, I've tried to pull other YouTuber smaller ones, and I'm like, you guys got to go to conventions. Come up. And they're like, fuck that.
No, because the conventions is how you network.
It's like, guys, these conventions are a big deal, especially too many games. Jay from the Game Chaser said it's bigger than Portland. He said Too Many Games is the largest video game convention in the United States, not Portland.
It's a dying hobby, though. So,
in a way, look at Atari. Everyone was big into collecting Atari. They're all dead.
You have to adjust.
Well, here's the thing.
It goes in stages. NES is eventually going to be nothing. Look at the bins. There's dollar bins now with NES.
I will say this, though. The NES has a better chance, in my opinion, of lasting than Atari does for this one reason. NES games have more to them. And I don't mean to shit on Atari, but like the graphics on NES games still hold up. They still look good today, depending on it. Of course, there's some games that obviously don't look good, but that's with any console generation. But like Mega Man still looks really good. Mario 3 still looks really good.
Absolutely.
So, but when you go back and look at Atari, it just looks like blocks.
Yeah. Yes.
Not only that, I mean, this
you had to have grown up with.
This goes back to why the NES is my favorite system. Not only it was my first system, it's what I grew up with, but without the NES, we don't have any of this.
Exactly.
Yep.
Without the NES, there's...
I mean, but then you could also make the argument that without the Atari, we don't have the NES. It's a whole cyclical thing, though. I agree, though. The NES...
Who cares? It's all here anyway, so it don't matter.
I've talked about it before, but like the NES was fascinating because of the way it reinvigorated the video game market. Like the whole and Rob the Robot was a Trojan horse to get back into the U.S. market. It was a really smart, savvy marketing move. Even though the front loader ruins the pin connectors in it, but that's neither here nor there. But I totally lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
NES
No, but right before that, though, right before the NES thing versus... Oh, no, the state of collecting. That's what it was. The way collecting will stay... The way for collecting to stay relevant, the way for all of this old shit that people have paid thousands of dollars for is you have to make the younger generation appreciate it.
And you want to know how I do that?
Smart.
All right, a video game con last year. Not the one that was at the Meadowlands or whatever.
The Seacog Expo Center?
Yeah.
That was...
Kid wanted a GameCube.
2018.
Was crying to his dad. I want a GameCube. I want a GameCube.
That's where we met.
Please, Dad, can I have a GameCube? And he goes... He's like, it's $50. I was selling for $50.
That's a good price for a GameCube.
Exactly. I price cheap, so I get rid of the shit.
You do. You gave me you sold me a Saturn for like, I forget what it was.
Success is when I go home and all my bins are empty, bud. That's all I care about.
But anyway, so the kid wanted a GameCube.
Kid wanted a GameCube. The dad's like, I can get you a GameCube, but you ain't gonna get any games. And so the kid's like devastated. So I look at the dad. I go, bro, buy him the fucking GameCube, and he can pick out 3 games in my tub for free. That kid looked at me like, holy shit, it's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. The dad even looked at me. He's like, are you serious? I was like, dude, if the kid wants a GameCube, yeah, that's going to be my customer for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Get him into the hobby.
And that's the thing. Like, you have
What's wrong with you? You don't have a GameCube?
Well... But no, you're 100% right because Like my, I had my little cousins over one time, and he is probably the older one that was over. He's probably like 10 years old, or actually maybe a little younger, like 8 or 9. And this one was about 4 or 5 years old, and he was playing the original Super Mario Bros. For the first time. And I remember just giving him the control and be like, all right, you hit these buttons to go left and right. You hit this button to jump. I didn't even tell him about holding B to sprint, right? And except for fireballs.
Wait, holding B makes you sprint?
Yeah.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm joking.
Oh my god! You have the sad look on your face. I had totally thought you were like serious for a hot second. No. So, but I told him like just hit A to jump or whatever, and he was like jumping and he figured out how to get past the first Goomba and he hit a block. He's like, oh, a coin. And then he got to the last one and he got the mushroom popped out. He goes, oh my goodness. And he picked it up and saw Mario grow big. And watching his expression, like as like the surprise in his eyes, I was like, yeah, this isn't dying. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's going to go out and want to play the original Super Mario Bros. But because of stuff like that, it's going to like this hobby. I'm not saying it's going to be worth as much as it was at the height of like NES,
no, and that's
but
why
it's
you
going
see,
to be worth something more than Atari is.
That's why you see a lot of these people selling off their collections because that's the only reason they were into it was to make a quick buck. I'm all for you being a reseller. That's cool, but don't push an agenda telling everybody they can be a full-time reseller.
It's not realistic.
Okay, it's not realistic. Are you getting health care? Do you have a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you paying for insurance? Like, at the top of it, yeah, you may. I'm not bad mouthing anybody with this, but if you say, yeah, I made $30,000 in selling on Amazon, that's cool, dude. That's awesome. But after taxes, after paying your health care, after all your medical bills, after your thing, are you making a massive profit? Or are you making what anyone else with a 40-hour-a-week job is making?
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
I work
to be a
40
reseller.
plus hours a week. I do this as a side deal. I'm living on top of the world right now. This is fantastic for me. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. She's happy. At first I started bringing this shit home, and she's like, "What the fuck?" Until she started seeing that I was keeping certain stuff, selling the other, and there was no money loss. And this sustains itself. This hobby sustains itself.
See, mine is a loss. I don't resell.
You buy games for but you buy them for me, and you get them for like 50%.
Well, that, and
off
I'm also not like. You either put the work in to get the rare games, like you found, like your Earthbound for $250,
yep,
or you pay the market value for it, and like $2.50. Yeah,
$2.50.
I paid close to retail for my copy of it. I paid $170, which is still a good deal because I think it was like $200 was the market value.
How long ago did you get it?
Too many games.
But for instance, say you didn't know me and you bought my extra copy that I just recently sold.
Yeah.
And I sold it to you for $250. You know where that $250 is going?
Right back into
this.
Yeah.
So I think the most money I ever put into this was $300, and that was to get this whole thing started. So everything you see in this room costed me out of pocket at least $300.
That's amazing. That's incredible. I mean, you did a lot of work though. It didn't cost you just $300. It cost, but
when
there's
a difference between me yard sailing and a lot of other people. I leave my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't come home till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going all day through the day. He woke up because he doesn't live right next to me.
Yeah.
He drove. You woke up that morning at 3 o'clock in that morning and drove out here. Met me at what? 4:30, and we drove 2.5 hours to go to a townwide yard sale in the middle of PA
to get one good Pokemon lot.
All right, We went to a townwide. We're the only people legitimately asking for video games. You think there was a video game to be found? Not one. We hit 70 houses. Not one video game. There was one lady
put
with
in the work to do it.
There was one lady with a SNES lot,
but
she was not bringing it outside because she knew what it was worth. She's like, "I'm not selling it." We're like, "All right, not a problem. It's fine." But we still try. We say,
short-term memory.
"Would you like to bring it out? We'll appraise it for you." Because I'll do that. I'll tell them. I'll be like, "Listen, this is worth about $200." So that way, if they ever decide to get rid of it, they can get rid of it the right way. Instead of getting But later that day, we were fine. We weren't in a foul mood. It is what it is. We're on our way home. I'm driving through other little towns. We stop at a yard sale. Guys like, "I got some stuff." We go back, box GameCube. Every Pokemon game that's ever come out. Yes.
That's awesome.
up to the advanced.
That's
So it was
that's
what,
awesome.
2 emeralds in that lot. I gave you that ruby,
The ruby,
for
it was
wasting
two
your
rubies,
time.
2 sapphires, yellow, blue, red.
Silver, gold, crystal.
Yep.
It was
Oh.
everything. And what, 4 DSs, Game Boy Advanced,
Yeah, DS Lite, DSi,
Game Boy Color. I mean, it's amazing
Mario
what's out
Sunshine,
there.
Game Boy Player.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Mario Sunshine.
Game Boy Player. I gave that to Louie over in Gotham City Games. Go check him out. He's in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. But yeah, it's we got to go out again.
No, I do want to. Once all this
Coronavirus.
scare, once the coronavirus scare is over, yeah, I would love to.
COVID-19.
I feel like that's your
Yitch.
tagline.
You better not put that as your title on the video.
No, the title of the video is going to be simple. It's going to be, is coronavirus going to affect yard sales? And that's what it's going to be.
I mean, well,
it's going to
Okay.
in certain areas.
no.
Washington,
I agree with you. What I was
Washington
saying,
State
the
is
title
going
of the
to be
video, the thing, the reason I
slammed.
was reacting that way is because like the majority of the video we have not talked about the coronavirus, so I wasn't sure if
fine.
you wanted that to be the title. That's all.
It's called a thumb. It's
He's
called
not gonna make it the
clickbait.
title.
Yeah,
Why?
it's gonna be clickbait. It's what everybody else does.
At least you're honest.
Fair
It's
enough.
exactly
Yeah.
what everybody else does. I have not a problem to tell you that. That's what I'm gonna make the title.
Yeah, fair enough.
Everybody does that. It doesn't matter what it is. Like look. I follow Mr. Beast. I think he's a nice guy. He gives millions of dollars
Team
away
Trees.
to everybody. Yep. Look at Team Trees. You know that the kid doesn't have to give money away, and he does. I mean, he does nothing but clickbait, and it works.
But
it does what it's got to do. Metal
Yeah.
Jesus, clickbait. It's all clickbait, bro. And is it going to work? Probably not. I don't care. I don't care if I could lose 5 subscribers from this video. I could gain 20. I'm happy if I gain 20. That's great. I love all my subscribers. They're great people. A lot of them comment. Some private message me. You know, that's amazing. I'm glad you found that. Are you willing to trade this? Are you willing to trade that?
Yeah.
I don't really do trades because in my mindset, if I trade you a $200 game for a $200 game, that's $200 I'm going to miss out to put in my pocket for more yard selling. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
It doesn't work out. Now, for instance, if I have a tub that I took into a convention and I haven't sold anything out of it in the last 2 years because no one's interested in shitty Xbox games, I don't like the Xbox.
Yeah, you're a
Sony PlayStation
you're a
boy. There
Sony
is not
boy.
one green game in this room.
Except for the greatest hits PlayStation 1 games.
And
Well-
those N64 boxes.
Well, shut
I'm
up.
just-
And the wall's green, so.
yeah, and the wall.
The Game Boy Advance theme? The Metroid Game Boy Advance?
Yes. So basically where I'm going with this is I didn't sell any Xbox stuff. So I took it to one of my buddy's game stores in Brooklyn, New York. It's a hell of a drive for me. It took me an hour and 10 minutes, but I picked you up. I picked Josh up. We made a day job out of it. And it was fun. The kid gave me a hell of a trade-in credit. And
remember
right
the video,
behind
yeah.
you, there's the most expensive PS2 game underneath that PS2 neon sign. It's Kuon. Am I ever going to find out in the wild?
Probably
Well,
not.
hell, you want to know something? If I do, I don't need to keep it then. And that can be used to sell at a convention.
And then you can then use that money to go into your collection.
Exactly. You know, it's. I mean, I found so many good things. You know, and it's not like I'm on my channel like, oh yeah, look what I got. Like, oh yeah,
Doing like radio voice or something
you
like
know,
that. I
like,
don't
oh
know.
my
What is
god,
that? Is that like
I
pro
found
wrestling?
a gun neck. I'm not like that. It's like, look what I found. A lot of times I can't pronounce the games right. I don't care. You know, like Yeez. That
Yeez,
video when
yeah.
I found Yeez, I was like, Wise? Well, Wise doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. I'm like, it's got to be
Yeah, it's
Yeez.
East or something like that.
But that's a series I want to get into. I want to start playing it. You know,
Uh,
my goal is to get a complete PS1 set and a complete Sega Genesis set. You know, this NES stuff that's behind me, ask him. I've been on the mutual. Well, mutual is not the word I'm looking for. I'm having a mental disability right now on whether to keep it or not. I have
Really?
absolutely zero. What's the word I'm looking for?
Interest, nostalgia.
Not interest.
Zero.
I have no nostalgia for the NES. I never had one growing up. Never played one growing up.
Attachment.
I have no attachment to
There
it.
you go.
So therefore, I have a $6,000 NES collection sitting right next to me that's taking up shelf space that I can fill with my Sega Genesis stuff.
That's funny because like I have the opposite thing where I get nostalgia for things I never experienced.
But I'm going to be honest with you. As a YouTuber,
different.
I'm going to be flat out honest with you. As a YouTuber, that looks better behind me than nothing. You understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah. It looks great.
It looks fantastic.
That wall looks
For
amazing.
me, I have all the attachments.
Don't get me wrong. There's good NES games. Like, I grew up with
Like that Master Blast.
the first video game
Castlevania.
I've ever played in my life. My dad bought an Atari 2600. I think it was a 2600. Oh, I remember it might have been a 5200. I played Pole Position too. Okay, that was the first video game I ever played. And then somehow my dad I forget what it was. I think a guy at work gave it to him. It was a Sega Genesis with Sonic.
Yeah.
That is the first game that
Or you ever played.
has
that-
nostalgia to me,
for me,
which is why there's so much Sonic shit in here.
I love that Sonic hanger that you
Yeah.
have there. That's beautiful.
There's a real funny story to that.
I think you had it on your YouTube channel, right?
So I kind of did something dirty.
Oh,
Yeah, you know Video Bonanza? That's in Quakertown Mall.
yeah.
So I went in there with this shitty GameCube lot. And I'm expecting to only get like $40 worth of trade-in credit. So I go up to the one guy working the counter. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you $150 for this. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, what? That is like full retail trade-in credit. I'm like, well, all right then. So I go
What
up.
does he sell it for?
Probably
They
the
probably
same,
up. They
'cause
probably
it's
up
trade-in credit. So, well, that's just it. I don't buy anything from there because the shit's expensive. So I see that on the wall, and I'm like, I want that. I am leaving here with that. So the lady goes, it's not for sale. I go, come on. How much do you want for it? She throws out this stupid number, like $300. And I'm like, ugh. Thinking like, okay, this is going to make the kid walk away. I go, $250. And then she's like, well, I got to call the owner up. So she calls the owner up. I don't even think she called him. So she says $200. So she goes $200. I go, all right, I'll buy it. So she brings it down real carefully, brings it down. There's a stain on it. I don't care. You know, you can barely see
I don't
there's
even
a
know.
stain.
I don't even see it. Yeah.
So the one side sun faded a little bit, but so she brings it down and she's like, I go, all right, here you go. So I hand her $50. She goes, well, we said 200. And I was like, oh, well, I got 150 trade-in credit with the GameCube stuff. She was not happy.
Oh my
Sorry
God,
for the
that is
spike.
just straight blue on my audio software.
But-
it is like there is no gray behind
So-
that. That is a
so
wall
listen.
of blue.
If you think about it, I paid $50 for that.
Well, I don't know why she'd be mad. They got a lot of product for it.
Because
You
she thought she was getting $200 cash, and the $50 went right into her pocket.
much did you pay
It didn't
for
even
the
go in the
GameCube
drawer.
stuff?
It was already all paid for.
Oh.
So basically, what I do is when I find something a lot. So if I spend $300 at a yard sales for the weekend, okay, I'll take whatever I don't have, put it into my collection. First, I make the video, obviously.
Yeah.
I take what I don't have and I put it in my collection. Anything that's left. So the first thing I do is I'll make a small little couple lots with some systems that are there, and I'll make that 300 back. Everything else goes into a tub, and that's what goes to the conventions. So one lot that I make up could make me $300. It could make me more. So that's how I pay for everything. So Facebook is my first go-to. And it's actually come to the point now where people know like that you're a reseller on Facebook, because the only people that are buying the video games from you are other resellers. I'm sorry, but that is true.
I've bought a couple things off Facebook and I'm not a reseller, but for the most part, I would.
And the
it would make
people that
sense.
are not resellers are the ones that are selling the shit cheap, where I'm offering more money to buy the stuff and I get it regardless. So that's that point of that. And you know that's true. And you sell on Macari, right?
Yeah, I used to sell Facebook only, and I would take 2 weeks to sell what I thought was a fair price to get.
You gotta try to find someone in your area that really wants an
Yeah.
NES.
To sell on Facebook, you have to sell to the right person at the right time,
And the right price.
and you're not gonna get top dollar. You're gonna have to. I mean, unless the person really, really wants it. It's been far and few between the times that I've got
But
top dollar.
The whole reason I was selling on eBay is right around this time of the year, January, February, and March, is when all the convention heads start asking for your table spaces. You book your hotels now at this time of year. So with the money I made on eBay in the past 2 weeks, that covered everything. So, and I mean, that's just little tiny. I mean, my wife goes, "Wow, you made a lot of money." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "How much did you get rid of?"
Like of
Not even
here.
enough to fill in a milk crate, dear.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how much it's funny because you'd think that like there's you'd think with how many resellers are out there, there's not enough people to buy the stuff at market value, but there's so many people out there who still want the stuff and who are lazy like me who don't want to search for it.
This is where selling at a convention is more profitable than eBay at points. I just sold everything that I wanted on eBay for a certain amount of money to cover my fees in my hotel room and all that. Okay. That cost me nothing. Okay. That was just
Because it was just all
random
stuff
crap
that you sold.
Dude, I sold a broken PSP Go for $75, and
Really?
unfortunately, you know,
We couldn't.
you heard the story of how I left the 16 gigabyte memory card in it like an idiot.
Yeah, didn't David? Wasn't there one too that David tried to?
That was the one.
Oh, the same one.
Yeah. So I forgot to take the memory card out, and I had a separate listing for it, and I sold the memory card for $110. So I'm running around the house looking for it. So I messaged the kid I sold it to. I said, "Hey, by any chance," so I stopped looking like an idiot, "did I leave the memory card in there?" And he goes, "Yep." And I was like, "All right, good for you, dude. You got a free memory card." You know, I didn't ask for it back. I didn't go,
like
bro, that wasn't part of the bundle, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I screwed up. I lost out. Big deal. You move on with life. I mean, I ran into you for what? A good 1 hour about that. But you learn. So, needless to say, all my convention fees are paid for, and it didn't cost me any money.
Mm-hmm.
And now everything that I make at the convention, there's no fees. There's no dealing with returns. There's no dealing with, my NES box showed up crushed. You know, and I have a good time. I get to see people. You get to meet people. There's nothing better than being at a convention and someone that's subscribed to you comes up and goes, "Yo, it's you. You're the guy I watch on YouTube."
Has that
That's
happened to
cool.
you a couple times too?
It's happened a couple times.
That's how we met.
That's how me and him met.
So you actually
He
watched
walks
his
up to
stuff
my
on-
booth.
Oh,
Probably
that's-
one of his.
He was so scared.
One of his first 25 subscribers.
He was so scared to come up to me at that
you were
AVG.
busy too. You were busy.
I know,
I
but
didn't
it's
wanna
funny.
take
You
your
watched the time lapse video. He's standing there with his buddy David, like.
Because you were dealing with people. I didn't want to interrupt.
But yeah, a friendship, ladies and gentlemen, a friendship was made that day.
It blossomed. Well, it's even like how we met. It's the same thing. Like you were selling at that swap meet, and you're like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast." I went, "The fuck? Like, who listens to this?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't meet many people. I mean, my podcast is still pretty.
But
small,
here's another
like,
thing: there's certain people that are subscribed to you, and you see them at conventions. They don't give you the time of day. They just walk right past you, and it's like, really? Whereas, for instance, I'll use a guy up in Canada, not CJR this time, but JM Kemmels. He came up to me at Too Many Games. We were bullshitting for a little bit. We sent that snap out to Matt Gamer Alley. We had a good time.
CDR too, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get. I want to get them down here for a convention so bad, but
They probably make a good chunk at Too Many Games.
they have who?
CJR.
He's not there.
Does he? Well, I know, but like.
If he did a panel, I mean, that guy's
you said
never.
you wanted him to come down. I thought. Or
Yeah,
you're
not
just
to
talking-
sell, just to come down
Just to
and
come
do
down
like a
and hang out,
panel.
okay.
You know, we could do a yard sailing panel. That would be amazing. You know how many people would be in that room?
Probably a lot.
That guy actually has a fan base, and it would be amazing to have him do it because he's never done it.
Yeah.
You know, people would sit down and listen to what he has to say. You know, but I'm trying. I'm gonna try harder.
Same goes for Bedhead. Oh my god.
Well, I'm already getting him to go to
He would just
Brooklyn,
he's
Gotham.
already his own show.
Brooklyn City Geek Fest. Bithead will be there because I'm actually talking.
Oh.
So,
Is there any last things you guys want to say before we wrap
are you
this up?
trying to end this podcast?
Yeah, I'm fucking tired.
Why are you tired?
It's like an hour and a half already.
Who cares? It's been an hour and
Yeah.
27 minutes.
I'm
We
good.
can go on for another hour.
What
if
else do you
like.
guys have to say? That like I'm not. That's not me being
Closing
sarcastic.
statement.
Lysol, hand wipes, toilet paper. Coronavirus is out there, people. Please be mindful of others. Video games are not worth getting sick over. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be yard sailing next week. So
Didn't you just say like 20 minutes ago, like, I'm not going to yard sail?
I'm going yard sailing.
I guess in closing, kind of just summarizing what, any point that I made. When it comes to yard sailing, game hunting, you have to have a short memory. Can't worry about what other people are doing. Move it along and don't get butt hurt. And sometimes you have to travel outside of your bubble to get what you want. If you're really into it and all you're doing is complaining and saying, oh, my area is dry, this, and that, I can never find anything, it's because you aren't trying hard enough. If you want something in life, you got to treat it like anything else.
And not all video games are trash.
Correct. If you want to do good at your job, you got to put in the work. Same thing comes with this. And if you don't want to, then don't complain about it.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. It's up to you if you want to put the work in or not. But don't complain about it.
The best thing is the group
That's
we're involved with, New Jersey Retro Game Collectors or whatever it is. We'll post like, this is what we found this weekend, and so many people will go bullshit. And then I post, I go watch my YouTube video this weekend, and you'll see.
Why would you lie about that? Like that. If someone's lying about that on a picture in a Facebook group,
there are people that do lie.
Trust me, I took my whole Sega Genesis shelf off my shelf, brought it down, put it in separate bins, disorganized it, and put it in the trunk of my car so I could lie. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
that's insane to me. Oh, it's just like what does that benefit you? Like that's just pure. That's just all ego, and it's like ego over
Bragging
something
rights,
but like
that's a lot of work for bragging.
I don't know. I mean, I love video games, but I feel weird that you'd be bragging about the size of your collection.
Be surprised.
There's a lot of people.
Glad I don't know those types of people then.
Yeah, it's sad.
But all right, so I think that's a good place to wrap this up. Unless you guys have any other final thoughts,
Guys, be sure to go download Still Loading Podcast. He'll tell you in his little plug. If you haven't yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram, and let's hit off 2020 yard sales with a bang. Like I said before, in all seriousness, be careful out there. This is a real thing that's going on. You can get sick. Many people are dying around the world from this virus that's going on. So use your heads. Think. Don't be stupid. If you're going to go yard sailing, go to low populated areas, which I do anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. Stay out of the cities. If you're in hot zones right now, just stay inside. It ain't worth doing. Play the games. A lot of people, I'm sure, that collect these don't play them. So play your games. Enjoy them.
And as usual for me, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at StillLoadingPod on all of them. You can email me at stillloadingcontact@gmail.com. The podcast is also partnered with the Bit by Bit Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to put video games in the hand of children receiving inpatient care at children's hospitals, video game consoles, and just games in general. If you want to check them out, it's the bitbybitfoundation.org. You can check them out and consider donating. If you want to support the show, I always like to put the foundation first. They are a much more important cause than my selfish ass. But if you want to support the show, just leave a rating review on not iTunes. It's Apple Podcasts now. Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast listening app you use. Or you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. Even just $1 a month helps me grow the show. That's all I got. Eric, do you have anything though?
No, that's it.
And you didn't get, what's your social media handles again? I know
Firespin_gaming.
There you go.
That's on YouTube and Instagram. I try to do a video upload every week until yard selling season. That's typically not possible. So other than that, Josh, I appreciate you coming all the way here. Eric, you too. You came from the New York City area. You came from the Philly area. So I'm in the middle.
And thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I was not expecting to get an additional episode out, so that this actually does help me. I will have to mess with some of the levels on this, but overall, this actually sounds pretty good. It seems like so.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
So thank you all once again for listening, and I will see you all next time.
Do you want to build a snowman? Come on, let's go play.